He leaned back in his seat and gave her that dirty smile that somehow managed to look 1,000,000 times sexier on his 32-year-old face than it had a decade ago. "A word, Nick?" He raised his eyebrows slowly, arrogantly.
"Sure."
She crossed her arms and straightened her back. "Somewhere a little more private?" The guy sitting next to Nick pushed his chair back with a screech and stood up. From his blonde hair, boy-next-door good looks, and the sling on his arm, she recognized him immediately as Luke Anderson, the star left-wing and all-around heartbreaker. "Hey, I'll gladly take you somewhere more private if this chump is dumb enough to pass up the opportunity," he said with a grin. Nick was on his feet instantly, glaring at Luke. "She's mine." She cleared her throat, set the pint glass down, and handed Luke a business card from her purse. "His agent," she corrected coolly. "Jillian Nichols, nice to meet you." Nick came around the table, picking up his beer on the way, and escorted her to a quieter corner of the pub with his hand on her back. She hated how the fine hairs on her nape stood up just from the feel of his large, possessive hand. He pulled a chair out for her at an empty table and sat across from her. "Came to scold me?" He sipped from his glass defiantly. Undaunted, she leaned forward and set her forearms on the table. "No, I came to see if you got all the stuff for the hospital visit, and to tell you I'm in talks with a company about a potential endorsement deal already. That is, if you haven't blown it yet, thanks to not one, but 2 fights with Liakos in the locker room today. Oh, and to tell you I got a text from Ben saying he's having such a great time on his date that they decided to go out dancing after watching the game. He texted me because you turned your phone off and he didn't want you to worry if he didn't come home tonight." The barest hint of a smile creased his lips. "Good for Ben." The anger simmering inside her from his refusal to take anything she said seriously started to bubble over. "Look, you're not the only one with something to lose here. I need to know working together isn't going to be a problem." "You knew I wouldn't like it if you turned my visit to the pediatric ward into some kind of publicity stunt." "I also knew that was the only leverage I had to keep you from getting suspended today after management heard about your locker room scuffle before the game. You didn't give me much of a choice. But for the record, I negotiated to have only the team publicist show up to the ward and take photos that can be distributed to the local news outlets. No reporters. And I'll be there to make sure things go smoothly. Besides, if you'd met me after the game like you promised, we could have talked about it first. Instead, I had to track you down here." He shifted forward, entrapping her arms inside his across the table. "We just got our asses handed to us. The mood in the locker room was pretty shitty. Add in Liakos screwing around with the pre-game music and almost getting into it with our goalie, and it was pretty clear we needed a team beer. I couldn't not show up." Her jaw dropped. "What kind of asshole messes with the goalie's music? That's sacrilege. Everyone knows that." "The same kind who wouldn't sign a jersey for the kids unless I publicly apologized to him." Disgust curled her fingers into tight fists. No matter how much Nick had pissed her off tonight, Liakos was 1,000,000 times worse. "Where's the merchandise now?" He gave her a cautious look, probably because of the sudden venom in her voice. "My trunk. I'm parked right out front." She raised her hand, palm up. "Give me your keys. I'll take care of it." He hesitated for a moment with his eyebrows drawn tight, but handed them over. With the distinctive Tesla keychain, she didn't need to bother asking what he drove. 10 minutes later, she was back in the pub with the size-small Liakos jersey pulled over her camisole, clinging to her meager curves. "Excuse me, Sebastian Liakos?" She found him at the bar and tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around with a scowl that was replaced almost comically by a slick smile when his eyes traveled down to her chest, which was pushed out by an unnatural arch in her back,